to increase. So wind and rain will only get worse from here. I want to bring in NBC's Tom Furlong on the streets of Broward County, Florida.
It has been an absolutely crazy night along Florida's Atlantic coast. Even though the eye of the storm appears to be going west, the winds, the rain, we've had it all here in South Florida. The wind, you can see the palm trees blowing. It is an absolute nightmare out here. There's an evacuation order under effect for all of the Florida beach towns. So anybody that's out, police are coming up to you and telling you to get out of the way. The wind and the rain, it's coming horizontal. Most of the areas east of A1A and the Intercoastal Waterway are now closed off.
I've been through 24 plus hurricanes. Even I'm getting a little bit nervous right now.
This is a catastrophic situation and extremely dangerous for those that have not heeded those evacuation warnings.
Well, good morning. Welcome to continuing coverage here of Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Irma dangerously close to the Florida coastline. Landfall expected by morning.
18 million people under hurricane warnings. Evacuations are occurring across South Florida. People are hunkering down for the worst of the storm.
Well, good morning and welcome to our continuing coverage of Hurricane Irma. I'm meteorologist Ray Stajic, and we are starting to hear and getting nearer to the final hours just before landfall.
Yeah, already reports of more than 80,000 people without power. And if you lose power or don't have access to TV, you can stream us on the Local Now app as well as weather.com. Listen to this. Yeah, that's the sound of winds as Irma approached downtown Miami late Saturday, and we're only going to see these winds continue to pick up. Power outages are certain here around the Miami area. Wind is going to be just one component of Irma. Obviously, surge, heavy rainfall will be others. We have so many of those that are going to be working together, and that's why we want to keep you out of harm's way. Hopefully, folks are sheltered now or evacuated out of the area here. Ray, it looks like we'll continue to find these winds on the increase throughout the night and through the day tomorrow.
Yeah, it certainly does. And this is just the beginnings of what is going to be a long day on Sunday. I mean, that was just the outer fringes of what Irma is and what it's going to be. It's going to get worse before it gets better across the entire peninsula of Florida and the Keys. Let's go to the latest now on Irma. 120 mile per hour, category 3, still a major hurricane with a pressure now at 931 as of the 1 a.m. advisory. But reconnaissance aircraft is out there. The latest pressure I saw come in, I believe it was 930, and it's moving on off toward the northwest at 6 miles per hour. So potentially we may see some additional strengthening here with the next advisory, the full advisory coming up as we go on through just before the 2 a.m. hour. The pressure will continue to hold steady, maybe fall just a little bit as it heads on off toward the northwest now and starting to make that northwesterly turn. But look at this. We still have all of this severe weather to continue to push north now. As Key West, it looks like the center of the storm is going to head pretty close to you, and as we go through the next few hours, we're going to watch and see if that northwesterly trend continues as we go on through here early on this Sunday morning, but still lots of heavy
Sunday evening, and the rainfall totals there could be 5 to 8 inches of rain. Look just a little bit toward the east, and you've got 9, 10, 11 inches of rain, probably right in town, 6 to 8 inches and less as you move out toward the western portions of the Panhandle. Apalachicola, more like 4 inches of rainfall. So,
and getting up towards Fort Myers. Now we watch that core continuing up into the north central part of the state. Winds finally beginning to settle down in South Florida, and then the storm moves up towards Tallahassee and beyond that up and into Georgia, and there could be significant wind across much of the state of Georgia, finally winding down going into Tuesday. So looking at the power outage forecast, widespread power outages are likely across a huge part of Georgia and Florida, as well as into South Carolina. There you see the tropical storm warnings that are in effect here into those states, as tropical storm force winds are expected to sustain, but winds may gust up to 70 and 80 miles per hour. And then on top of all of that, you've got this rainfall that's going to be coming all across the state here, 8 to 12 inches of heavy rainfall through the Florida peninsula, reaching up into Georgia. We're looking at a large area of 5 to 8 inches of rain, which is going to mean significant flooding for many areas, especially near the creeks and streams and rivers. So in Naples, we've got the strongest winds coming in late this afternoon, 100+ mile-per-hour wind gusts, and a storm surge of up to 15 feet, again, especially on the underside of that sea, and the beaches getting a workout all up and down the east coast and west coast of Florida. The most significant surge is going to be along the west coast of Florida, but we're looking for also quite a bit of surge and heavy waves coming right up and along the east coast as well. Here is a look at the wind field, and you've got a tremendous area of strong winds now well away from the center. And let's go out to Mike Seidel, who is in Miami.
Yeah, these pictures were amazing, and considering that this is basically kind of a mid-range tropical storm, because the winds are sustained at about 50, 55 miles an hour with gusts, 75 to 80, 85. So we're not getting sustained hurricane force winds. And imagine the winds being 120, 125 miles an hour gust over on the west coast. So it is going to be a more dangerous hurricane over on that side of the peninsula. But with that said, we are just getting, boy, this rain is, it's like being in an Amarillo, Texas sleet storm. It's just coming right at me, east to west, and so is the water. Look at the waves out here. Now, if you've ever been to South Florida, you probably know, obviously, you've never seen anything like this. Wow, and the waves crashing up here on the boardwalk, lifting up the planks. I don't know, this is really becoming compromised over here. And now the spray blowing into some of these condominiums. But again, the surge is not remarkable by any means, based on where the water was last night here in this area of this area right off Brickell Key. But boy, the visibility is down. I cannot see the causeway, the Rickenbacker, and over there in Virginia Key where we had that wind clocked at 100 miles an hour about 90 minutes ago at the University of Miami. We were there up on the roof back on Tuesday to start our coverage, and I can't even imagine being up there right now. So what we're dealing with is the outer bands of Hurricane Irma. We're more than 100 miles from the center, but if you look on the radar, you can see some of the strongest bands are coming up through Miami-Dade County, where about half the people, at least last time I checked, were without power. So this is going to be the situation all afternoon into this evening. These winds, which will eventually shift direction. They'll go from the east to a generally west-southwest direction later on this afternoon. How about that gust? Boy, that'll take it out of you. We're going back into the Atlanta area, into the lab. Or are we going over to... We're going back to Carl Parker in the lab and get the latest on what's going on. As far as, Carl, any tornado warnings and the situation now?
I'm gonna ride this out. I'm riding this out, yeah. I'm right across the street, a couple floors up. My apartment, that's my parents' place. My apartment's down there, and the landlord's solution was a little duct tape. So I don't think that's gonna work out, but I feel pretty confident across the street and up there, 3 floors up. Place is like a fortress, and it's gonna be a cool view.
Well, I hope you're okay. So I hope you're prepared for from a lack of power, and hopefully the water won't get that far. But again, it's always a risk in an evacuation zone.
Yeah, absolutely. The one big thing for me was getting the car out of there so I have a safe entry or safe exit. And there's some kayaks downstairs too. Worst case scenario if the flooding's persistent, but feel pretty good. The power actually went off a couple times this morning. So it's crossing the fingers that we have the power a little longer.
All right, well, good luck to you, Mark.
Thank you, sir.
Stay safe out there. And again, Jim, that offshore flow, that wind coming in from the east, combined with the low tide, whoa, that has exposed a lot more of the coastline here, and it also kind of demonstrates why
70, 80 mile per hour range. We've gotten occasional gusts as high as 100 miles per hour there in Miami. Tremendous to see that boat being tossed around like it's nothing. It looks like a fairly large sailboat, actually. And so this is the type of destruction that we're going to continue to see right through the afternoon. It's not going to change that much through the course of the day today. Winds gusting to hurricane force through the afternoon, finally beginning to let up somewhat as we go into this evening. Now, I want to show you the trends on the satellite picture.
It's going to probably end up in the water. Just another reminder that it's so important to stay hunkered down for as long as we need to ride this storm out, because debris can scatter and it could hit you, it could hit a window. So we are grateful to see a lot of these condos here shuttered up as well. Christine?
Have the unique advantage, Rebecca, as we've been telling people, here in North Bay Village is an evacuation zone here at Channel 7. We're right on the water there, and so can bring you these images and still be able to be safe here as we're surrounded on all three sides. And as you've seen these conditions deteriorate, now when this whole thing started, even as early as in the overnight hours and this morning, we're talking about normally this is like glass, and it is, I would guess, a few feet, if I had to estimate, below the seawall level there. And never in all my years of covering hurricanes have I ever seen it look like a churned up ocean right there in our own backyard. Folks, this looks like the ocean. This is not. This is right behind our 7 News studios. And can you talk about how rapidly these conditions have deteriorated out there?
Yeah, Diana, you're exactly right. I mean, paradise back here usually completely clear and smooth, but right now I have never seen it like this before. That is why Zone B, why this is a mandatory evacuation zone. We can see now as that tree is about to end up in the bay, or part of it, a branch now. You know, it's just really amazing to know that we are in this area. Fortunately, this is a bunker. We've been told our building here is so secure, it's so safe. It has made it through several hurricanes, so we knew we would be safe here. So we definitely had the advantage of being able to report and show you just how bad it is, but definitely feel that we are safe. And I've been out here since 2 a.m. in the morning yesterday. I honestly can't even keep track. So fortunately, I've been able to really see how the conditions have deteriorated over time and over time. And it just amazes me every time I come out here to see the difference in the power that this storm has. You're seeing some of our biggest gusts that I have seen yet since being out here reporting. You're just seeing how strong these waves are, and it continues to pour up over here. Fortunately, we do have some elevation as well past this seawall, but this is the parking lot behind us here. And these waves are crashing right now up into these condos. Hopefully, and let me step aside, I want to see if you can see these condos, because they are very close to the water. Their only protection was that seawall. So we're hoping that whoever is hunkered down in there, we know they have no power, so I hope they can hear on a radio, but the best thing I would say to do is to get further away from the water. We're getting a massive gust right now. I'm going to try and brace myself, but I am very concerned for them because storm surge is a big issue. So just in the last few minutes, I am feeling a little bit worried for the people in those condos, just that they get away from the
to be the issue. So this is our backyard right here. We are looking from the rooftop of Channel 7 studios towards the actually looking points north, I believe, right across Biscayne Bay. And we have about a 3-4 foot seawall back there. The water is starting to bridge that already. It will come into the parking lot. This is going to continue to rise at least for another hour or so. There's still plenty of high tide left. There's going to be plenty of flooding across parts of North Bay Village. And
you know, a half an hour ago when we interviewed those gentlemen on TV. So the water is rising, and I want to show you over here. There's a little alleyway here between these buildings. When we got here, that was totally dry, right by that stop sign. And it's now underwater, and the water is just rushing in between these buildings, like almost like little rivers. And it's unbelievable the way the water is rising. We're obviously in a safe spot here. We're high up here, and if we have an issue, we can actually walk west a little bit and go deeper into this building. So we're okay. But you definitely don't want to be out on the roads, because I mean, look at this. Is the JW Marriott. This is Brickell. This is, you know, This is downtown Brickell. This is the area you think of when you think of downtown. So many of our friends and family live right in this area. So many people who work at the station live right in this area. And it's unbelievable that it is now slowly filling up with water. Hopefully it's not going to go much higher, but like I said, it's definitely rising. We can confirm that at this point.
All right, Brian Enton there, as we see the photographer clearing the camera there. You talked about the hazards, not just the waist-deep water and growing, but those strong winds that we're seeing, the driving rain coming through there.
Communicating, and I understand that wholeheartely. We want him to remain safe, but I'm glad that at least they're keeping that camera up. That's another great shot of that fire hydrant. That's the my measuring stick, if you will, from afar, from a safe distance. When we started the coverage here, obviously there was no water. It came up rather quickly. It went up about halfway up to the fire hydrant, and now it is almost completely up. You can see that the water can be seen in this intersection for quite a ways. This is the Marriott Hotel there, and so far as we can tell, the National Weather Service confirming 2 feet of water flowing swiftly through the streets in Virginia Key, better than 3. The storm tracker still detecting that we have the eye of the system heading towards the north, possibly impacting Naples. If it stays here on a straight line, that could definitely impact Naples at any time here. They are looking at already some strong feeder bands moving in their direction, and the system is moving at about 8 to 9 miles per hour. They're about 80 miles away, so within the next 7-9 miles, it could be a direct impact on Naples, and that after the landfall across Cudjoe Key after 9 o'clock this morning. The heavy rain continues across the middle and upper Keys. You're not done yet. Miami-Dade, it has just been heavy rainfall from Homestead, Leisure City, Naranja, all the way up through Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay, Pinecrest, the Hammocks, moving into downtown Miami, and really everyone from the beaches, Key Biscayne, South Beach, North Miami Beach, Sunny Isles, moving inland across I-95, Liberty City, Little Haiti, all the way into the Turnpike, Doral, the airport, Miami Lakes. There is no one now that is not being impacted by this system. Yesterday, I was kind of telling folks, you know, everyone, this is a big system. Everyone is going to be impacted, just some worse than others. Now, for us, these are actually second-hand effects because the action.
This is a live feed from Tallahassee, where my girlfriend is. So far, it doesn't look that bad. But I will bring in, I can't even talk. I will be bringing you updates. And there's somebody leaving. A person just carried a cat by. You didn't see that, but they were just getting the cat's litter box. And I guess they're evacuating. So, that's Tallahassee, and you can see the highway back there. Hardly any traffic on it. There's the lady leaving with her cat. Right there, you can see the lady, and I guess that's her son leaving with the cat. I guess, yeah, it's a cat because I got one of those. See a couple cars go down the street in Tallahassee. I just seen 3 total. 4. Okay, maybe there are some cars, but so this is the scene, Tallahassee. It's 11:05 here, so it's 12:05 there. 9/10/2017. This is Lisa Herman, VTV News. As you can see now, the last car left the apartment complex. See, there's us, VTV with Lisa and Jace. And I will be back from here when it gets closer. This is Lisa Herman, VTV News.
90 to 110 miles an hour, gusting up to 135 in this area. So we are now battening down and hunkering down for the duration. Anderson.
Miguel, we're going to check in with you. Be careful out there. And again, for people a little bit north of where Miguel is in Punta Gorda and where Chris Cuomo is here in Tampa and elsewhere, a lot of that storm surge may be coming in the darkness late at night, which makes it all the more scary. You don't get a sense of what's coming. It's very hard to see what's coming, and especially with those hurricane force winds whipping at that time of night. We're going to take a short break, and our special coverage for Hurricane Irma continues in a moment.
This is off somebody's Facebook.
Hey, Chris, I can hear you. We're here in essentially downtown Naples, about a half mile away from the Gulf Coast. And then if you look back in this way, this is looking back toward into town. We're watching this center over here with the white tarp, and that rooftop there has been buckling up and down rather severely here for the last couple of minutes. So we'll continue to monitor things like that. The wind is just ferociously blowing from the east to the west back toward the Gulf, and that's clearly an indication, we are on the north side of this storm as this thing swirls around us and the eye continues to creep closer to us. After the eye wall gets here, the winds are going to shift. It's going to be from the west to the east. I was out on the beach just a little while ago monitoring the situation there, and it was amazing. The surf had been pushed back by these winds a good 100 yards from where we saw it yesterday. Essentially all of that moisture getting pushed back out into the Gulf waters. And as we stand out here, we are obviously keeping close tabs on what's coming from our eastern side over here. Chris, here the danger is that things are flying around so quickly that these large palm tree branches that we have seen flying off trees relentlessly throughout the day continue to do so. You can see them all over here littered on the ground, and then you can see water pooling up here on the ground. This is a miner's little pool of water, but this gives you a good indication. It's happening more severely and more seriously in other parts of the neighborhood where all of that, this is the storm, all this water getting pushed up. And the real concern is back over here to our east. It is the river that comes pushing in from south to north on the edge of Naples, Florida, where we are. And it is that water and into that marina, the water with these winds going to get pushed up to the north. And that's what's going to cause that storm surge in a lot of parts here of the Naples area and in Fort Myers, all the way up into Tampa as well. So that is the concern here throughout the day. And obviously these winds are going to be a major concern as well. Structurally, everything seems to be holding rather well from what we've been able to tell. It's things like this, as I mentioned here off the top, Chris, this tarp on top of this, what I believe is a recreation center. I have to double check that. But that you can see that kind of buckling back and forth, probably designed to do that to a certain extent. But as we get closer to